Last year, research. Step forward. Microplastics, you mentioned liming 5 millimeters, less than 5 millimeters. So the problem here is that the size of the plastics themselves, they're not easily filtered out.
No, it's very hard to capture them with normal means or technology, especially when they become so finite as to you can't even see them, and you can breathe them, and it can permeate in the air, you can breathe it in, and it can gather in your lungs and therefore lead to certain inflammation and even worse, perhaps lung cancers.
Yeah,
so this is much more worrying than the regular plastic, which people are sometimes, in some cases, in a hurry to pick up. Like in my community, there are people who will hover over the recycle bins whenever you bring products waste like cardboard boxes and plastic. They will pick it up. They will go through your luggage, your baggage, your garbage, and then pick up the plastic and cardboard boxes because there are policies recycling them and making sure people are paid for that.
We are doing what we can these days, but the problem is still so massive. This is from CNN. There was a study from 2020 where they estimated that there are 14 million metric tons of microplastics sitting on the ocean floor. 14 million tons. I can't even fathom how much that is, or how big that must be, or how heavy that must be. And the problem seems to be getting worse because we're producing more plastic. There's more pollution to come in the following years.
There shouldn't be anything to worry about if these microplastics weighing 14 million metric tons, according to the estimate, stays on the ocean floor. But the problem is that it doesn't just stay there. There are animals and creatures living on the bottom of the ocean, and they are part of the food chain. And they, big fish eat small fish, and we eat big fish. So there's a likelihood of the microplastic going up the food chain into human bodies. At the opening, you mentioned about microplastic being discovered in human placenta, which is very scary.
Yeah, it's terrifying. So where are these microplastics coming from?
Well, of course, they come from larger pieces of plastics. For example, we have larger plastic items like the bottles, water bottles, or the bags, or a lot of the packagings that we use on a daily basis. And they will break down over time because the sunlight, because of the weather and other physical conditions. And then they fragment into smaller and smaller pieces and eventually becoming these particles basically in our natural system.
Degradation then, right?
Yeah. And it also can come from littering. For example, we constantly hear about those irresponsible disposal of plastic waste, and they actually contribute a large portion to the microplastics in our system. And these plastics, like those floating on our oceans, can leave the environment and break down and then eventually be part of the fish, the marine life, and probably floating in the air. We don't know because scientists are still studying and finding out on a daily basis about new development with these microplastics, because I get that they're not like sitting on the bed floor of the ocean. They're moving around on this planet. And they are not only within the human body system, but also in the system of many animals that we consume and also plants that we consume.
That's why this is such a hard problem to solve.
Yeah.
So degradation is one thing of larger plastic items like bottles or bags, the examples that you gave, but there's also the direct release of microplastics too.
Yeah, these are, for instance, micro beads, which are tiny plastic beads intentionally added to personal care products like exfoliants, cleansers, and toothpaste. I'm not sure if people know that toothpaste, they often include antiseptics, that's for sure, to prevent, to kill germs and prevent your oral system from going from bleeding. But there are also a lot of abrasives because you're brushing, you need something to help with
to scrub away.
Motorjátszó Fiat premolimplicat într-un război care le-ar fi putut produce pierderi dezastrate. Stradul Chi a căzut victimă
见过的那种最原汁原味的广式传